Hello viewers. Today I want to talk about how I improve my English by reading. I've always said that reading, writing, speaking and listening are the four domains of any language, and if you want to improve in any language, then you have to carry all those four domains together. You have to build your knowledge in those four domains, because that's how you can properly articulate yourself, and your knowledge and experience in one domain spills over to the other domains. So today I'm going to talk about reading how reading helps me to improve my speaking skill. So the idea really is for you to read aloud. It's not quite complicated. So since I have been small, or there was a time in my life when I learned that reading aloud slows slowed me down, and also made me to be tired easily, and I stopped reading aloud. And I since then I've been reading in my mind. I still read in my mind when it comes to academics books, when I need speed, but once it comes to learning English or learning any language, it is always good to read aloud. And the reasons are quite simple. When you read aloud, you are exercising the muscles of your tongue. So how exactly are you supposed to know the how exactly are you supposed to pronounce a particular word, if you've never pronounced that word before? It's not magic. You have to have pronounced a word before, so that your mouth and your tongue will be at ease pronouncing it the next time. So when you read aloud, you are quite slow, fair enough, but you are exercising the muscles of your mouth, and you are exercising your tongue, and you are making it easy for you to speak better in public, because reading aloud is a form of speaking, which is the best way to improve any language. You have to speak. So but reading aloud also comes with some other benefits. So you also learn how to correctly pronounce some words. There are certain words that we don't quite we never bothered how to we never bothered to know the correct pronunciations of. I'm going to show you some examples. I'm going to show you some examples. I always have my notebook with me. I have a notebook, and in that notebook I write down words that I encounter while reading aloud. I write down words that I don't that the words whose pronunciations I'm not certain of. And then when I those words, I will now when I meet them while reading, I will send them to Google, and then Google will tell me how to properly pronounce them. And when I've gotten their correct pronunciations, I would then write them down in my book. And then I will, in parentheses, I will now write down how to properly pronounce them in a manner that I will understand. I always use my mother tongue, Igbo, because I'm very comfortable in Igbo. Whatever I write down in Igbo, I already know how to pronounce. Whatever I write down in Igbo, I easily know what that is. So the pronunciation of that English word is always in Igbo, or in any way that will help me to not forget that this is the correct pronunciation. So you can never underestimate the importance of reading aloud. The last time I was practicing, it's been a while anyway. It's been a while I wrote this thing down, but I met a word that's a sight, SCYTHE, and I wasn't certain if the pronunciation was sit or sight. I wasn't quite uh, familiar with the word. But then I sent it to Google, and Google said that Google pronounced it, and the correct pronunciation is sight. So I wrote it down in my book. Now next time when I'm going to speak, I'm talking about how it spills over to my speaking ability. The next time when I'm going to speak now, obviously, if my mind selects that word sight, the least of my worries is going to be the pronunciation, because I have learned how to pronounce it. And because I can't easily pronounce the word now, it, I'm, I'm not going to have any lag in speaking. One of the things that constitutes lag while speaking, at least in my case, is the idea that I don't know the correct pronunciations of certain words. And like they say, competence breeds confidence. So when I'm not sure of the correct pronunciation of a word, I'm not going to use it. And you're going to notice that in my confidence, because I'm lacking competence in that particular in I'm lacking competence there. So now compare compare that to when I I have learned that word, and when and my mind is my mind is shooting the words to my mouth. I'm going to let it leave my mouth because I know the correct pronunciation. So that's the idea. That is the idea. There is some other, like wildebeest. Wildebeest. Okay, I learned that some other time, and if I had not done that, I believe I would have pronounced it as a wild beast or something. I'm not saying I will do that, but there will be a lag, because in my mind I will be thinking this is not how to pronounce this word. Okay, let's find another word. And that all that is what constitutes lag while speaking. So you should learn how to you should read aloud, because it also helps you to learn how to pronounce some words, and that can never be that can never be overemphasized. So the another thing that it does when you read aloud is that you are quite slow, fair enough, but that slow is a blessing, because now you can pay closer attention to punctuations. When you are reading, or when you are reading in your mind, you don't quite pay close attention to punctuation marks. You are just reading and running through the author's words. You are enjoying the story that the author is telling, but you are not really building yourself grammar wise, you know because, or rather, you are reading passively. You are not quite building yourself grammar wise at the best possible rate. So but when you read aloud, you are challenging yourself, or rather you should challenge yourself. Whatever punctuation the author Wherever the author puts a punctuation mark, you should ask yourself, why is this punctuation there? If it is a comma, why is this comma there? If this comma is here, why is it not here? And then if it is here, why also is it not here? When you start asking those questions, obviously when you meet a sentence and you're not certain why a comma is there, you now copy that sentence to ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT can explain it to you. Or you can when you don't want if you don't want to do that, you can just type, how to properly use commas, and then you are going to go on YouTube and you are going to see beautiful videos about how to use commas, and you will learn that, and it will never be a problem for you. And then when you write, because remember, the idea is that your knowledge in one kind of overflows, or your knowledge in one domain spills over to the other domain. Now when you write, you can properly put the punctuation marks where they should. That's how you know when to add the commas. When you want to separate the non-essentials from the essentials, there are beautiful things you learn when you pay close attention to when you challenge, rather, whatever you see on that page, and you ask yourself, why did this author put it there? When you do that, you will detect some mistakes, and then it makes you happy, right? Because this book is supposed to be well punctuated, but here I am detecting detecting mistakes. Some other time it could be the author style, and you don't just do that with punctuation marks. The other time I learned, 12 with an apostrophe, or 12 prime means 12 feet, and then when you have two apostrophes, you have 12 inches. I never really knew that. I never knew that. Or I've seen it somewhere, but I never took my time to properly know what this thing truly means. But because I am challenging myself whenever I read, whenever I see something like that, I'll ask myself, why is it then? That was how I learned the use of prime. That's 12 prime, or 12 with an apostrophe, and then 12 with two apostrophes, 12 with two apostrophes inches, 12 with one apostrophe, or rather, a number with one apostrophe means feet, and a number with two apostrophes means inches. So you learn that. So these are the things I want. These are the things I wanted to share with you. Always read aloud is going to help you. Is going to You are training your the muscles of your the muscles responsible for articulating those words. Number two, you are learning how to pronounce those words, and you should always have a book, or you can write it on a note and then save it somewhere. You should be organized as well. You should be organized. So when those words you don't know, you write them down, and that builds competence, and competence reflects as confidence. That is one thing I noticed, and that is what I'm doing. So read aloud so that you can train the muscles of your tongue and the muscles in your mouth responsible, other muscles in your mouth responsible for articulation. You can do that, read aloud, so that you can know how to pronounce those words, so that you can get used to pronouncing those words. And when you are reading aloud, you are slow, and you challenge the whatever thing you see in that book that you don't know, that you don't know why it is there. Why, the other time, why is and starting a sentence? Challenge everything. You are going to build yourself. There are certain instances where and can start a sentence, where know them, know those things, because it breeds confidence, so that when you yourself is using when you are using those things and someone challenges you, you can easily tells you, okay, this is not quite well done. You can tell them, well, this is another way of doing it. Okay. And then you converse with the person, and then you learn if that person truly has something new to contribute to you learn. You pay attention while reading. Pay attention to punctuation marks, mainly, not mainly, but a lot of things. Challenge everything you see while reading. Challenge punctuation marks. Why are they there? Dashes, the semicolons. Challenge everything. If you meet words you don't know, why find them out. Find the meaning of words you don't know. When you meet a combination of words you love, write them down. If you want to incorporate them into your speech, write them down, and then practice with them. And that is how you improve your speaking skill, by reading aloud. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe to my channel, like the video, and correct my English. Drop some comments, and I will reply them as fast as I can. God bless you. Remain blessed, my friend.